All right, have I lost my mind or did I just see a great movie? It's very confusing because yesterday, early November, I watched a movie and I was really taken by it. I sat down to write a piece on my Substack. I said, this might be the movie of the decade, who knows? And then I went to post that on Letterboxd and I discovered that Letterboxd users really, at large, hate this movie. It's getting a 2.9 out of 5, whereas I'm doing the maybe it looks like clickbait thing where I'm saying this is a movie of the decade. So the movie is Kathryn Bigelow's A House of Dynamite, which is now on Netflix. It's been on there for a couple of weeks. I finally got around to it. Bigelow is one of the favorites of this channel. Now I've been in this position before, but it's usually the other way around where I feel pretty negatively about a movie, or I think a movie's mediocre and everybody's calling it great. This channel, early in its run, Bong Joon-ho's Parasite, for example, I didn't like that as much as everybody else. Definitely Christopher Nolan's Tenet, which I think is not a good movie at all, but there's a lot of Nolan fans out there. So I usually find myself more in the negative space with a very particular taste. You could call it discrimination or being a jerk. Usually I'm not on this side of things where people are really ragging on a movie, and yet I am gung-ho enthusiastic about it. So I'm going to try to justify why, and it could just simply be my own delusions. I mean, we're all watching really different movies, even though it's the same movie, because we come at them with our own experiences and biases and all that. And that is probably what the case is with The House of Dynamite. It is a nuclear war attack movie on the U.S., set in the contemporary moment, even though the president is quite different from the current president, and maybe the government is better and more efficient in this than our contemporary one would be, or any sort of U.S. government scenario would be. And in the movie, which tells this story 3 times in a row, this is the same sort of 20 minutes of a missile being launched from somewhere probably in East Asia, and then coming at the United States, and it's going to crash into the Midwest. And by the end of the movie, or actually by the end of the sequence of 20 minutes, it's probably going to be Chicago that's going to be hit hard by a nuclear weapon. The government is scrambling, U.S. government higher-ups are scrambling to try to, 1, stop this missile with their interceptor defense system, and then 2, figure out what the heck is going on, even just to have a sense of believing this emergency is actually happening. And the movie is trying to be realistic. I'll leave that to people who've studied the issue. They're in the War Department and they know way more about this than I do. It looks realistic given the camera techniques in the filmmaking by Bigelow. And so I think this movie is quite good in a number of ways about a possible nuclear missile attack. Not to spoil it at all, I don't want to give everything away, and so I'm going to leave some things out that I would argue for the movie in its favor. But the sense of helplessness that it has, as the best and the brightest government officials scramble to stop this or figure out how to deal with this before it hits. And I think one of the keys in the movie is the attack never happens. You never get to that moment of impact. It's always going to be right before. The story is told the first time through, as we learn about the missile and what's going to happen, and that people are scrambling about it. Then the second time through is from a different perspective, a different angle, still in the government. And then the third time through, it's from the President of the United States' perspective, as he's off somewhere talking at a sports event, and then he's in a car being chauffeured places, but then he's not able to sort of contact people like the Russians, and he doesn't have video contact with anybody. And the sense of helplessness is for everybody, in every way. It's a sudden attack. We're not really sure from whom. If we amp up our defenses or retaliate, this could cause chaos, but maybe we should. All of these sort of game theory defense strategies are out there in the movie. The moral implications of this are out there too. And the scenario feels actually frighteningly realistic to me. I'm not sure who would attack us like this and for why. That provocation is not known in the movie. But it is at least the hypothetical what if a nuclear weapon is fired at the United States from someplace, possibly North Korea, although in the movie they're not sure. That's a best guess, but it's not a definite certainty. Now, to me, I think the movie is quite good about the modern version of Cold War, which we're probably in with Russia. We're funding the enemy in their war, which is the Ukraine. And also on just the fact that nuclear weapons probably are going to be used. I hate to be the pessimist or that guy, at some point in the future. And my view is after several generations, and certain countries have nukes and maybe more countries get them, they will eventually be used. This is almost a certainty just because of something like Murphy's Law. anything that can happen will happen because of history and some pessimism about history. Just when you think things are fine or peaceful, then all of a sudden an attack comes. And because I don't believe that people are always all the time rational. So much of nuclear war game theory is, for example, the mutually assured destruction doctrine is dependent on people caring about their own livelihoods, caring about their own economic self-interest, not wanting to blow up either part of civilization or civilization itself. I am not a believer in rationality in human affairs entirely. In fact, maybe at all. All one has to do is go look on the internet, just scour Reddit, and you'll probably find out exactly what I'm saying. I think rationality is typical. We do act in our self-interest. We're not going to fire nuclear weapons, therefore, because it could harm ourselves. Or we could blow up this precious thing we've got called civilization. We don't want to live hand to mouth, as you see in like the Mad Max movies, and struggle just to survive. So the movie is about this topic of the possibility of it happening, and it's probably going to happen. Sorry to say. So to revise what we saw in the 1960s, you got Sidney Lumet's Failsafe, you got Dr. Strangelove by Kubrick, and then a bunch of sort of apocalyptic movies. The 1980s movie Threads, which shows the happening and the aftermath of a nuclear attack in Great Britain, is absolutely devastating. I am glad that Bigelow updated this, because a lot of people on the internet are saying, why just watch Failsafe? That's way better. But that's the 1960s. This is a different era, as the movie opens up by saying we're out of this era where the Soviet Union collapsed and then there's this unilateral power of the United States. Or maybe we're not out of it, but there's many nuclear powers. And with governments changing and people's ideologies changing, you never know when such a thing like what's happened in the movie is going to happen, as it possibly will. Before World War I, did they expect to blow up so much of Europe and have such devastation and loss? I don't think so, but the war gamers were planning on it, and World War I happened, and now most of us look back of it and say it's stupidity writ large. Could that not happen with nuclear weapons? And this is a fundamental issue, and it certainly is to me, so now I'm giving you my biases. I mean, you can be whatever political persuasion you want. You can wear whatever crazy hairdo or fashion you want. You can spout total nonsense as much as you want, wherever you want, in person, on the internet. All of that is undergirded by the fact that there's civilization and economic productivity that sends the trucks to your local grocery store and gives you the food that you need, or provides you with jobs so that you can at least live an okay lifestyle. And by okay, I mean better than the historical norm, which is hand-to-mouth living. Not great. All the diseases and the famines in human affairs across history. A lot of parts of the world do not have that because of the general social order of civilization. And the threat to that, a great threat to that, are these gigantic weapons that could destroy some to, unfortunately, quite a lot of civilization itself all across the planet. Now, to me, Bigelow takes us seriously, and her screenwriter, Noah Oppenheim. So I think these people are serious thinkers concerned about an ultimate problem. We have the ultimate weapons that could do this sort of damage. And in the movie, I think this is a great move. They make the U.S. government seem as competent as possible. It is as efficient, and people are sane and clear-headed, and you got these different positions about what to do, but they're acting quickly, they're trying their best. And the president here is played by Idris Elba. So we've got a very good-looking, powerful, athletic-looking man who has a moral compass, and he's worried about what's going to happen. This is the best, the movie says, that we could possibly have during this sort of 20-minute problem of, a nuke is going to hit Chicago. So there's a logical argument here. You all know, and at least I believe, the U.S. government is not this competent. So what if a nuke comes and we have to deal with incompetent people, incompetent systems dealing with this very scenario? The movie presents a very total sense of helplessness, in my opinion, especially by the end. After each time we go through this 20-minute countdown, we're helpless, 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 with the most competent people in charge. So what will happen when we have the least competent people or less competent people? And of course, this argument about nukes comes up now every presidential election. It's like a scary tactic. Don't vote for this person because they'll have their finger on the nuclear button. He or she is crazy. They might do something wild and actually fire the nuclear weapons. In this movie, you've got a pretty competent president, but I like that he is at a sporting event, sort of distracted by that. Not that it's wrong for presidents to go to sporting events or speak to athletes or something like this, but he is distracted by the bread and circuses stuff of American affairs, which are sports, and I like sports a lot, by the way, but that he's taken away from the ultimate problems, the nuclear weapons scenario and possible war, by a sporting event. And here, he's thoughtful and he's engaged, but he's removed from the scenario as the U.S. government are taken aback. And I quite like that, because again, that's amping up the actual problem here of we are in deep doo-doo. I should say the word, but YouTube will probably allow me. If we have a nuclear attack like this, that it's sudden, it's out of nowhere. And then the movie, to me, is adult in the way it treats it. We don't see the bomb being dropped in this sort of entertainment apocalypse as happens in so many movies. I think one thread of the movie, though, is that it could be read hawkishly or viewed hawkishly, like, oh, if this is the scenario now, we need to build up our defense department. We need to make more weapons and have more weapons so that we can defend ourselves. There is that possibility here, which I don't like that much. But I do think the movie is really also about offense, the offensive nature of nuclear weapons, that they are unstoppable or nearly so. The bullet hitting a bullet problem of trying to intercept them and blow them up is sitting here in the movie. And as weapons advance and get smarter and cheaper to make and harder to stop, offense always, I think this is a general truism, offense beats defense in the long run. So I don't think, by inference, the solution in the movie is to have a bigger defense budget or something like that. I don't think that's what I come away with the movie with. So if I look at the technical features of this movie and things that people complain about, the acting, the telling the story in 3 different ways, there's a bunch of stuff with the 2.9 raters on Letterboxd are saying, and other sort of movie critics. But if I look at the social cause, the political cause, the ultimate threat, and that this movie is taking this very seriously, and it's actually issuing a pretty stark warning to us all about what the possibilities are, at least today, assuming they're at least semi-plausible, I think this movie is pretty potent on that subject, and it is a subject of ultimate weight for the entire world. Now that's why I would call it a movie of the decade. I don't mean it's better than One Battle After Another. Filmically, it's not. It's not better than Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon filmically. There's no way. I mean, in terms of aesthetics, complexity, and nuance, and the great acting, great writing, and all that. No, it's not. But in terms of what it is, how it presents itself in the scenario, in the ultimate weight of this problem, again, it's my bias, but I believe that this is a problem. This is a very important movie, which is why I would call it a movie of the decade. And you might not like watching it as a movie, but it's pointing as a movie into our reality, which is what some movies are for. They're not just for entertainment or escapism or to show off technical know-how or advancing aesthetics in movies. They're also about showing us reality. And so I think that's why this movie is at least worth paying attention to. Now, you all should tell me why House of Dynamite is not a good movie. How could it be done better? Why I'm kind of crazy here, which, when I see a difference between me and the masses, I pause and think, am I right or are they right? Or is there some middle ground and we're sort of both missing stuff? I think that's always an interesting moment. And so here I am in my channel having that moment. But I'm interested in what you have to say and why. And your criticism should definitely be about the movie, first of all, and then, of course, the topic, and then how the movie goes about the topic, and all the whys. Why is the movie not great? Why is the movie great? That sort of thing. Because the whys are very helpful in explaining to people your point of view and how you saw the movie, and in my case, how you saw the movie way differently than quite a number of critics and other people. Anyway, thanks for watching. Substack, Letterboxd, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate your support. I hope you have a great day despite the topic we just talked about.